Today I'm going to discuss about theoretical approaches to the impact of faith on political conflict. For example, we are experiencing these things for the time being, and even afterwards, we will discuss afterward discussing four ways that how religion can influence politics. I think there should be no language barrier. Okay, may I continue in English language? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, today topic is about to understand that how religion can influence politics or how faith can influence or brought up even in modern times, or they could bring conflict basically purely based on religious either or any we can say religious agenda. Anyhow, let me give you that particular understanding, and then we will move towards to understand about what is actually uh, lies in our lecture. To examine all these things, you should listen if you want to. First of all, we need to examine that what are those approaches. Approaches basically means, as you know, that we what do we mean by approach? Approach is actually you are looking or approaching or taking a view from your own standpoint towards a particular phenomena. I mean to say that what is your understanding about a particular phenomena, question, or problem. In this scenario, we can say that what are those theoretical approaches where we can find out what is the impact of religion on any political conflict. I mean to say that if we're looking towards around the world, that issues happening in Palestine or Afghanistan or any part of the world where Muslims are being, in trouble, as well as they are actually targeted for what they're not uh, like. I mean to say about the world has witnessed afterwards 9/11 that yes, of course, particularly by the United States, that it was 9/11, and somehow Al Qaeda was basically made accused for this particular, attack on the United States. So, particularly around the world, among the Muslim population, okay, among the Muslim population, it was a matter of solidarity to stand with the Muslims, okay. So when the United States, okay, they attacked on Afghanistan, and later on, what we saw, an anti-Americanism started throughout the world. These are the examples that how can we link a faith or religion. I'm not talking about that Muslims are terrorists or somehow we can say Muslims are fanatics. So I'm not talking about that these people are only responsible for terrorist activities or terrorism. Terrorism is terrorism can be found in any part of the world. Okay, there's no religion that is propagate or that is expanding terrorism. For terrorism, religion is not what we say, that religion is not the yardstick or a value, but to examine the influence of religion on politics from a broad perspective, that most books around the world and most books on politics and religion to have narrow approach, and this narrow approach is actually a very limited aspect of religion and religion influence on politics, such as books are discussing secularism, books are discussing conflict, books are discussing terrorism or state policy. In contrast, we need to take a wider perspective on two fronts. First, and perhaps most importantly, that religion interacts with politics on multiple levels. We know that religion interacts with politics on multiple levels, whether that is a society, whether that is a policy level, whether that is political aspects of the society or a social aspect of the society. So we can say that yes, uh, religion interacts with politics on multiple levels. Accordingly, I have to divide these influences into the influence of the state and the influence of society and politics. However, within each category, there are multiple potential types of levels of influences. While it is not possible to examine all possible influences of social and state, religion on politics in a single video. Second, I would like to tell you about this video lecture or this online session that multiple countries in multiple world regions, the studies examines, particularly the region just like North America, particularly United States, the Middle East, Israel, okay, and the Eurasian region, Turkey, the North Africa, and Western Europe. In addition, two of them include information from the entire world. I'll proceed in two stages in the sense that the first examine religion interaction with politics on the societal and state levels and how the specific contribution to this fit into this format. So the first and the most important principle what we have to understand about state, society, and politics. If I ask this fundamental question, that what do we mean by this particular first category, state, society, and politics? I mean to say that the first and the foremost important factor where we can discuss state, society, and politics, like what we believe that religion is among other things. You have your readings, and religion is among other things a social institution. We all know that. Religion, among other things, is a social institution. Very few societies are religion free. And according religion can be found in nearly every society. I mean to say that there is no society around the world where we can say that a particular society is a religious or religion free society. So I mean to say that religion can be found nearly in every society. Okay, somehow they are Muslims, somehow they are Jews, somehow Christian, Buddhist, Hindus, and many people having religious belongings. According to the World Values Survey, even among the most secular Western European countries, at least a third of population reports believing in God. Among the former communist states which experienced anti-religious propaganda and education, not too long, in 1995, we found that Estonia, okay, the fall of the communist regime or communist bloc, we saw that Estonia reported the lowest percentage of the people who believe in God at 21%. While in many former Soviet bloc states, a clear majority reported believing in God. No state in the world other than extremely repressive communist states such as North Korea lack active religious institutions and clergy representing both majority and at least some minority regions. This research was basically conducted by Jonathan Fox in 2008. Now, we have to analyze, I mean to say that we must be, or we will be very much fair to generalize that at both the individual and collective levels, religion is a significant element of society in nearly every corner of the world. Of course, this element of society is stronger in some places relative to others. As religious precepts overlap with issues of political importance, the interaction between religion at the societal level and politics is all but inevitable. Religious belief, or we can say religion, influences people's political beliefs and opinions. The second one is about, after discussing this particular topic, what we had in our discussion, uh, just like religion, society, and politics, while discussing and including religion, society, and politics, coming to discuss religion, the state, and politics. This is the most important criteria where we can find the very nexus of religion towards politics and state policies. For example, we see around the world, it's a common example, that we see around the world that certain states are following a religious agenda and certain states are free of that particular agenda. Certain states are secular states and certain states are, theocratic states, or they are following theocracy in their state formation. Some states are ideological state while having a particular ideology to deal with all the matters pertains to the life of the state. But somehow we believe that there are certain models which can be incorporated into the state life as well as understanding religion, state, and finally politics. Anyhow, government cannot avoid government cannot avoid having a religion policy of one kind or another. Such policies can support religion, restrict religion, regulate it, or most commonly engage in policies which do all these three things. So, in this point, we can say that you will not see, or we cannot see that there's a particular government and that is against a particular religious community or a particular religious agenda. I cannot say that government can deny the very role or importance of a religion, but I must say that every religion has a due share into a political sphere. I would like to add something. I mean to say that just like what we saw later on in the affairs when colonization happened or colonization started in the India or colonization started in Africa, the most glaring reality what these continents experienced, it was a spread of Christianity into the Indian as well as into the African soils. I mean to say, the European world developed themselves while exploiting as well as utilizing the resources of these regions. Okay, but as the European world developed, these regions did not develop that much. Why? Because these were the colonies, and the colonies, colonies were kept for utilize and exploiting resources. Particularly, you look toward India, you look towards the North African regions, where from the north to the east and from to the south region, it was basically colonized by the Britain. Later on, by the Germany, by the Belgium, as well as by the Portugal. Okay, these particular people divided Africa into their colonized zones. And same was the case with India, same was the case with Asia, where people were colonized, and so on. We can say that government cannot avoid having a religion policy of one kind or another. Such policies can support religion, restrict religion, and regulate religion. So we can say in all these discussions, we can say that most commonly the state or the states having to regulate it, restrict it, or more importantly, support religion. Jonathan Fox, I'm giving you Jonathan Fox, just like we say, Jonathan Fox approach that even separating from religion, and even separating religion from state is a religion policy, one that is considerably rarer than many realize. I'm giving you certain statistics as Jonathan Fox researched in his research, somehow happened in 2002 and 2008, that he basically concluded all the states from the world. Somehow he started out that 175 states he examined around the world. And he was actually experiencing and he was looking that what was or what is the role of religion, politics, society in these particular states. I'll give you statistics. Out of 175 states around the world, 46%, 46 states, 46 states had official religions. Official religions. I mean to say that the state the states have these states having official religion, like Pakistan has an official religion like Islam. has been made as official religion. Okay. 46 states around the world, they are having religion as official religion. 71 states around the world supported some religions. I mean to say, though they are not officially declared as religious states, but somehow they are defending and supporting religion. Three states, three states out of 175 that support and treated all religions equally. They support all religions equally. Three states. And 14 states, they are hostile to religion. I mean to say that they might have certain communist tendencies. That they are hostile to every religion. Again in 2002, 131 states, 131 states restrict minority religions. You know minority religions? What do you mean by minority religions? I mean to say there is a concept of majority religion and minority religion. A country or state hosts more than one religion or more than a religion, two religions, three religions, four religions. Out of two or three or many, there will be a religion which will constitute majority. Like for example, people living in the West, particularly in the West, Europe or the North America. Okay, so we know that the Christian are greater in number. Same as the case in the world like India, where the preachers and the worshippers of or believers of Hinduism having great population than the Muslims. So over there, Muslims will be minority religion, or Islam will be minority religion. So 131 states are restricting, regulating the policies as well as customs and policy pertains to these states, okay, of minority religions. Okay. And same, these particular, this particular thing is happening over there, where they could, I mean to say that if these states are regulating, restricting, and supporting somehow a religion or not supporting somehow a religion, then it means that they are actually constituting their policies, keeping in view certain religious policies or certain religious agenda. Anyhow, more interestingly, 60.9% of the states with official religions and 50.7% of the states which support some religions more than others. Now, there is a common concept, or somehow we see and we experience. We experience these things, that there are certain states around the world having a separation of religion and politics. You know about secularism? Secularism. Secular. Secular. Have you heard these words? Typically, the religious ethos and religious norms are using this word when protesting against the policies of state of Pakistan, that they would not let Pakistan be a secular state. Hmm? Secular state is somehow, that is misunderstood in the Asiatic and African region, where religious laws are actually overlapping politics. For the best of the people in these regions, secular system or secular form of government is the most, required answer, where everyone religious belief or everyone religion is protected. I mean to say, state policies and religious policies that give what a momentum where we can say that yes, religion and politics is separated from state sphere, not from individual sphere, but state sphere. I mean to say that state would not regulate its laws purely based on religion. So New Berger has examined three classical models in his approach. Later on, you should study this person. Okay, New Berger examined three classical models, and he is actually targeting Western democracies these days. He had research and he explained that there are three classic models actually functioning and working in the Western democracies. He says that there is a state religion model, separation of religion and state model, and cooperation between religion and state model that falls short of support from an official religion between religion and state. He argues that currently the West is evolving towards the cooperation model. I mean to say that they are taking cooperation from the religious groups and they are running their countries as well as the state. New Berger is actually talking or has talked about three classic models where we discuss even now state religion. Three models are functioning these days in Western democracies: state religion, separation of religion and state, cooperation between state and religion. And he concludes that currently the Western democracies are working or functioning on the cooperation model, which is about the cooperation between state and religion. Okay? Acha ji. Now we have to examine that four ways where religion can influence politics. As I have mentioned in my topic, that how religion or faith can influence politics. So same is the case with there are four ways. There might be other than four ways, but we have to conclude our discussion on these 4 points that four ways religion can influence politics. Uh, there's a question in my mind. How can we define religion? Is it simple to define religion? Are you able to define religion? Still, we are practicing religion. We are unable to define it, but still, we are practicing it. In this reading, there is a common, example which has been discussed. You can find out. You can say, even you can read that particular example that Porter Stewart once stated about what you see. You see in your reading about the Porter Stewart example that he anyhow later on you should read about that. Okay, we have to focus on these 4 points, just like religion is a notoriously difficult term to define. In practice, many use some form of definition, okay, but somehow the definition varies from person to person. If I say that this is a set of belief or is a set of rituals or principles, or I may not be that much perfect in my definition, but still I would coin an opinion about how to define religion. But anyhow, I may not be able to define it, but I know when I see and when I practice my religion. The first and most precise unit to define religion is about to discuss that how कैसे कह सकते हैं कि मेरी एक मजहबी पहचान मजहबी शनाख्त one thing is clear, one thing is very much clear. With the people of India, when the people of India, particularly in the freedom struggle, or we can say political structure of Pakistan, we saw that afterwards the advent of modern politics, or we can say the formulation or just like the establishment of political parties in India, the Indian National Congress. And afterwards, the Indian National Congress, and afterwards, the partition of Bengal. Though this partition had political gains and bends, that partition had nothing to do to facilitate and to relax Indians. Okay, this partition having also certain Raj, Raj, British Raj conspiracies. But I'm telling you that why did the Muslim leaders led a delegation and they met the Viceroy of the India? Frequently, you see that they were the Muslims of India and they wanted an independent state and that. You know about that. We see somehow, हम कहते हैं ना कि भाई मुसलमानों ने क्या किया, एक अलग वतन का मुतालबा किया. तो किस बेस पे किया? मजहब को बेस बनाया ना. As I'm also talking about that religious identity. जब वो वायसराय से मिलते हैं वहाँ पे कहते हैं कि हम मुसलमान हर एंगल से हिंदू से या फेलो इंडियन से मुख्तलिफ हैं और हमें ये वगैरह ये चाहिए. तो उसके बाद इनकी अपनी एक प्लेटफॉर्म बनी ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम लीग. तो ऑल इंडिया मुस्लिम लीग का मतलब क्या है कि मुसलमानों की वाहिद नुमाइंदा जमात. And later on, they started their political career while in discussions, meetings, agreements, disagreements over certain policies where they were feeling themselves unfitted or misfitted. Somehow we believe that, yes, suppose they have weaknesses or they had weaknesses in their political field, in their politics, but still we can say, or the best and clear example is that people were there and people met with the viceroy, and these people demanded what? Certain rights for themselves, but the actual identity or the actual unit of identity was used by them was a religious identity. And in the reading that religious identity impact on the political is a matter of controversy in the literature. But anyhow, take all these perspectives that while religious identity influences political factors, it is not the most important influence. Okay, Harris explicitly argued that while religious identity may have an impact, other factors such as restrictions placed on religious freedom are far more important. Their findings support this, showing that religious identity has an indirect impact on religious persecution that is not nearly as significant as other factors. So, in this particular point, we see that if any issue or any policy we see, for example, we see any policy or any issue around the world. Suppose I'm talking about an issue in international politics, and this issue is about Palestine issue, Kashmir issue. Why do these people, I mean to say people living in other countries, and they are marching in favor of Palestinians? फ़लस्तीनियों के हक में मुजाहरे क्यों होते हैं मुसलमान ममालिक में? क्यों? वो तो उनके अपने मुल्क के लोग हैं, न इनके साथ उनका कोई भी है, लेकिन एक ताल्लुक है, और वो क्या है? रिलीजन। तो कश्मीर भी आप देख लें, अफ़गानिस्तान आप देख लें, यमन आप देख लें, इराक़ आप देख लें। आपने ये भी देखा होगा ना कि जब इराक़ पे, अफ़गानिस्तान पे अमरीकी अटैक हुआ, तो द एंटायर मुस्लिम वर्ल्ड, ओके, उनके दरमियान एक गम गुस्से की लहर दौड़ पड़ी। And still, these states or this region, African region or just like Asian region, एक लहर चल पड़ी, और उसी लहर को हम कहते हैं एंटी अमेरिकनिज्म। एंटी अमेरिकनिज्म मतलब अमरीकियों अमरीकी जो लोग थे, दे आर नॉट वेलकम। सिंपल हम ये कहते हैं कि एंटी अमेरिकनिज्म वेव जो चल पड़ी, क्यों चल पड़ी? क्योंकि इन लोगों ने अटैक किया और दीज पर्टिकुलर मुस्लिम्स। अब इन ममालिक में तो मुसलमान है, तो दैट इज़ वाई इन अ सॉलिडरिटी द मुस्लिम्स revolted, they criticized, and they gathered their protests in agitation against the United States and Western powers. So this is that religious identity that even in 1993 and 1996, Samuel Phillips Huntington argues that identity-based civilization will be the basis of world politics in post-Cold War era. Even most of those who dispute his theory acknowledge that identity is important. They'd rather argue that Huntington religious identity-based civilization will not be the primary basis for identity. I mean to say that Harris, like Fink and Harris, explained that religious identity may not have that much factor or that much impact, but still it constitutes a massive, significant position among those who are posing their identity on the basis of religion. As I have told you that around the world, or another example is in the decolonization period where the Afro-Asian societies or countries got liberation from the Britain and other European power, majority of them they liberated, and somehow we say that Asian African, they were Muslim states, just like they were populated by the Muslims. Now the second one is religious beliefs and doctrines, or somehow doctrines. Religious beliefs and doctrines. Religion invariably include a belief system which influences behavior. The proposition that beliefs influence behavior is uncontroversial, and few would deny that religion is among the sources of many people's belief. Leaders are often religious and influenced by religious precepts, even if they are not. They must often give weight to widely held beliefs and prejudices within the population they live. While in some ways, religious doctrine is a concept that is distinct from beliefs, the two are so intertwined that in practice they are difficult to separate. Most religions have within them complex and often contradicting doctrines and concepts. Anyhow, religion can be followed, religion can be preached, religion can be practiced with the help of a belief system. I mean to say you believe in something where the religion is offered. You are different than any other religion because of a belief system. I mean to say if a person is a monolithic and a person believing in paganism. So the first basic difference would be the belief system. Later on, the rituals, traditions, and all these things come later. But the first and foremost characteristic is that how our religion can be understood, can be preached, can be propagated, and can be accepted with the help of only one thing, that is belief system. If you are believing in one God or if you're believing in multiple God, that is the basically fall in the domain of belief system. So religious beliefs and doctrines also constitute a significant portion while discussing that could influence on politics. The first was religious identity, the second is religious beliefs and doctrine. The third one is religious legitimacy, from where you acquire your power as well as position. From where you can acquire your power and position, this is called religious legitimacy. I mean to say the foundation of your authority. If you are exercising a particular power or authority or sanctioned by the law, it means that they should have religious legitimacy. And this religious legitimacy is about religion is a source of legitimacy, because if you look towards just like legitimacy, and I'm saying that what is the source? If I'm asking you, what is the source of Islamic law? So the first question is that what are the sources of Islamic law? So the answer would be definite that the first source of Islamic law is Quran. Okay, the second and the third and the fourth and so on. Okay, they are different sources, but you know what comes in our mind? Legitimacy. If I'm formulating a particular law, if I'm executing a particular law, okay, I mean to say they should have a legitimate foundation. I mean to say, from where am I seeking authority? From where I'm seeking, the position where I have to apply these principles. This is a religious legitimacy. And religious legitimacy is a source of legitimacy where you can say there is a legitimacy, mean to say a lawful activity where you can say that it is not against the law, but it is in favor of the law. Religious legitimacy, or religion is a source of legitimacy. It can be used to justify any policy or action, even those that may otherwise be considered unjustifiable. For instance, it is commonly used to justify both the continued reign of governments as well as their overthrow. Despite of the fact that religious legitimacy often supports state governments, it is important to remember that it is a source of legitimacy that is separate from and often in competition with the more secular basis of state legitimacy. Again, university discusses these things, a classic relation between religion and state, which includes religious legitimacy as an essential element. If you're using state and religion model, okay, state and religion model, then according to Niebuhr, there is a classic relationship between religion and state, which include religious legitimacy as an essential element. The state supports religion, and in return, support religion provides the state with legitimacy. If you're supporting a particular religion, and that religion is actually practiced by a large number of population, and you're supporting that religion, of course, they will give you legitimacy, and these people would have opinion in the favor of the state. But if you're not supporting their religion, I mean to say that particular religious belief or legitimacy or doctrines or belief system, and you are going beyond or against their particular religion, okay, resultantly these people will be against the state. And such kind of things happened in the Asian states where people got revolted on state policy that a particular action was against religion and so on. We had experienced these kind of examples. We had experience in our state, and somehow, the religious as well as the religious zealots and even the clergy classes, they are on the roads. Okay, they are on the roads. Recently we saw that one of the province government, they banned that particular religious political party. Okay, just because that they were, they were actually challenging the writ of the state. So state has to enforce its writ as well as the state know it. Anyhow, the the relationship is a common theme throughout the literature on the topic. The importance of religious legitimacy in the contribution to. The fourth one is about that how religion is being practiced from the voyage of religious identity, then belief and doctrines, and finally legitimacy. This particular foundation is to create or to frame religious leaders and institutions. Now, you have in your country or all the countries having religious leaders and religious institutions where religion is being practiced, being preached, being researched, and all the things pertains to the life of religion is being carried out in these particular institutions. So you have in your country or in your state certain religious leaders, and you know them very well. Are they performing well? Are they performing in accordance with the religion, or are they performing in accordance with the state? No one is beyond or beyond the control of the state. But anyhow, religious leaders and institutions around the world, religion is generally associated with religious institutions and nearly always produces religious elites. Most often, but not necessarily from a liturgy, these institutions and elites can influence politics in a number of ways. Let me conclude these things. What is your opinion? What is your name? What is your opinion? Is there or should we have a cooperation between religion and politics, or religion and state, or there is a clear demarcation required to separate religion from politics? What kind of system you prefer? What kind of system you want? Okay, overall, we can contribute that the contribution of religion and politics, they are dependent, on one another. Since the religious, since the religious rule or religious rule started, not in the east, not in the west, but the known history as we know about it, that on November 28, 800 AD, Charlemagne, yesterday I told you about Charlemagne, that he sworn as a king. In one hand he had a cross, and in another hand he had state. We can say that among the European societies, the foundation and all these things, where we can say that the foundation of such a connected bond of religion and state started by somehow Charlemagne. There's possibility that before him people used religion both in the east as well as in the west. But as far as the effective rule started in 800, where things were also started before him, like what we discussed in Holy Roman Empire. Okay, so things are many, but we have to discuss these things in a very, you know, straight way. To conclude this particular discussion, I would like to tell you that both interactions with religion and interactions with politics on both the social and state level, collectively they arguably constitute a representative core section of the influence of politics on religion. We can conclude that in a single line that religion interactions with politics on both the social and state level. Collectively, they arguably constitute a representative core section of the influence of politics on religion and the influence of religion on politics and vice versa. Any question?